Shalisha. I am Eric's mom, and I just wanted to hop in and drop a little encouragement and parental perspective to his amazing, miraculous story and this journey. Because while it is his story, it has been a family journey, a village journey. As a parent of a teenager who has already had some early trials and that have led to this magnificent testimony. Hang in there, love, be patient, have faith, and hope, and know in your heart what is possible and be grateful because it's not easy. It's to this day, although we are definitely in a celebratory season with how things have turned out so far, because remember, it's a journey. Life is a marathon and experience, but stay in the present and be mindful and aware of all there is to be grateful at any given second. While it has been extremely hard and definitely dark times, I feel like my faith was never shaken. I just knew with every fiber of my being and in my heart that this young man was not born to be anything less than great. While none of it made sense, uh, there's this saying, never say what your child will never do, because your child will start nevering like they've nevered before. And just understanding with my like education and career and training, which has been another. Hopefully I won't talk your ear off, and I'll get to all the like signs of just divine intervention and God's plan and God's path for Eric, of course, but for me as a parent as well. Um, just it's been a blessing that before I ever even became a parent, the education path and career path that I took that gave me the knowledge of just human development and brain development, and my kids know this. I tell them no human's brain is fully developed until 25 years old. And so children are not mini adults. And we may want to, have expectations that they behave and they have sound judgment and great decision making skills. The stage of adolescence is really lacking that, just scientifically, biologically, developmentally. So I think life in general can come down to managing expectations, um, not just expectations of others, but expectations of ourselves. And that's where the grace comes in. So as a parent, you have to have grace for your children and grace for yourself and the faith to know that it's God's plan. And like my shirt says, I had a plan, but God had a better one. And I am a planner. So, with all that being said about my faith and about my education and training and career, I was making plans and I had ideas in my mind about, my child's journey and path. And I'm sitting here in his bedroom on his bed that I imagined as his mom. He would be here until he was 18 years old or out of high school. And the path took a turn. While there was a lot of unknown and a lot of disbelief, I cannot say that I ever lost faith. And I think that's what fueled me. And honestly, I still haven't even been able to process it all, because I am the adult, I am the parent, so I'm having to navigate and pivot and make sure that I'm, with my fully developed brain, making the sound decisions on this teenager's behalf. The stage is about individuation and identity development, and it is, again, having that grace toward them and that empathy to understand. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager And it is a hard stage of life. But just as a parent with that faith, patience is a part of faith. If you, I don't know how you have faith if you don't have patience. But with that, I also was aware life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Like they come through us, but they are not ours in this very challenging stage for Eric, which fortunately, again, is, at a miraculous stage right now, is just sitting with in awe. It was unreal and in a manner of, while I saw some things unfolding once he entered high school, entered ninth grade, and it took about just over I, maybe a year and a few months, where it got to the point where it's like, oh no, I have to get you out of this environment into safety because you're not able to, exercise sound judgment and make good decision making skills for yourself, or make good decisions for yourself. So I saw it unfolding, but how fast it can get unsafe and dangerous is, you just got to be tuned in as a parent, and the support system is key. Just the village in general that have been involved in, turning this around for Eric, and without judgment. I never felt judged as a parent or ashamed, which is why I want to share this as well, because when it shame cannot live, or shame dies in safe places. And, these are stories that should be told. Eric is not a boy or young man that anyone, in my opinion, would have predicted would have made the, unsafe choices that he made and unsafe associations that he made. He was talented, intelligent, sociable with peers and adults, always well liked by everyone. Just had, you know no obvious reason to make the risky decisions and choices that he made, which is a part of adolescence. Risky decisions and choices, and a real belief and feeling of invincibility, because they haven't lived or had experience. So, and they've been safe and protected by parents and family and the village all their lives. They don't understand how risky can be. Technology, the cell phones, the social media, being vigilant, um, but vigilant in a it's kind of hard. I'm hesitating, in a respectful way, because I know there's a lot of, definitely, parental philosophies, and, this is a child, but you don't want to shut your child down, shut them off, push them away. So, I mean, me trying to come and, drop the hammer or put my foot down or tell, a 15-year-old what you're not about to do, when honestly, this was pre-pandemic, I have to leave the house every day. I'm gone 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. I got to be in an office building. So I physically can't make sure that a 15-year-old is where he's supposed to be. And they get to a point where they think, oh, they can just, I have friends, I can, just unreasonable ideas in their head about how they can just make it on their own, and live. So anyway, as Eric shared, he got to the point where, and these are my words, an identity crisis, an adolescent identity crisis on what it's like to be a young man in LA, and how a young Black man needs to be in LA and needs to be tough, and I guess he felt like he had something to prove. And I get a call one night from a unknown number, no caller ID, from LAPD officer, that my son is in custody at almost 10 at night on a weeknight. And yeah, it knocked the wind out of me. But even with that, I was grateful because this was exactly the wake up call that he needed. He didn't hurt anybody, he didn't do anything violent. It happened really quickly, like within I come from a family of we can laugh at ourselves, laugh things off. So, that night I wasn't laughing, but where where we are now, it's like, he had a 6 day career from, him deciding to go do what he did. And so just how quick it got nipped in the bud, literally, by me receiving that call on a Thursday night and not knowing what to do. But guess what? I was at my sister's house. My little brother was in town from out of town because it was his birthday week. So I wasn't alone. I had people to call, who answered every time throughout the night. We were able to brainstorm and strategize together about what to do. They released him to me in the wee hours of the morning that night, Friday morning, after having told me that, they were going to keep him through the book him and keep him through the weekend, and he'd probably have court on Monday. So I had to pivot, thinking they're going to release this young man to me that I don't know, because this isn't the young man that I've known his whole life and that I raised. And, what do I do? Because he already was aware of my stance on his choices, and that, they weren't acceptable, they weren't safe. It could not be allowed around me, around his little brother. It's a safety issue. And, fortunately, I had someone who went with me at about probably 3 in the morning to the police station, to have, this teenager released to my custody, with me knowing I can't go back home because I don't even know if he's trying to get back to these people he was with when he got arrested that don't even, aren't even in our area. How can I keep him in the house? I got him released to me probably like 3 in the morning, Friday morning. And I just said, we getting on the freeway. We are not going home. I could have gone to family members' homes, but we all live, not too far from each other and right in LA, and, where he can walk out as far as I'm concerned, and get right back to these people um, that he was with. So I drove a good over 40 miles until I saw a hotel on the side of the freeway, and I felt like it was far enough where he didn't know where he was. I didn't know where I was. Ain't nobody that he was fooling with gonna drive over 40 miles to come get him, I'm sure. And the blessing as well, he talked on the phone during that drive to my sister that whole drive. And he didn't get it at that time, but he was always open, willing to listen, willing to answer, even when he knew it wasn't something that we wanted to hear. He felt safe enough and comfortable enough to always give us answers. And so that way we can kind of try to gauge where his head is at, and maybe angles to approach him from, to get him to see the light and lead him to some better judgment and decisions. And so we check into this hotel probably, I think it was like 4:30 in the morning. He's exhausted. I'm exhausted. Again, this is my child who I adore. But at this point, I'm like, I don't know this kid. I got my cell phone right next to my head. I think I put my purse under the mattress. I'm trying to figure out where keys are because I don't know this child's state of mind. He crashes right away. My sister gets to the hotel room probably about like 7 in the morning. I mean, early in the morning, got out there to us quickly. I did not sleep that whole night. I was literally on the phone all day that Friday in the hallway of the hotel because I didn't want, even though I knew Eric was crashed out sleep, I didn't want him hearing and, figuring out what kind of game plan I'm trying to put together. for his safety, to the point where other residents, they were coming out their room in the hall from morning to afternoon. Like, one man, I remember he said, it couldn't be that bad, could it? And he didn't have a clue what was going on, but he had seen me just in the hallway on the phone all day, sometimes pacing, sometimes just sitting on the floor. And, folks were answering, responding, just again, just brainstorming, trying to figure out what to do. All that to say, I called my father that Friday morning. He's in Atlanta. And, Eric had already spent a year in Atlanta with him, the whole year of 2020, calendar year of 2020. And I had brought him back home, and it was 4 months of him being back home. And here I'm calling my dad, telling him what happened. He just said, send them, and this is Friday morning. Later that night, I don't know what time it was, probably midnight, 1 in the morning, Saturday morning. My dad shows up at this hotel, 40 miles, more than 40 miles east of LA. Flew from Atlanta into LAX on the spur of the moment, to the point where, and my sister and she stayed with me still at the hotel all day. And, we're briefing him on everything, debriefing him on everything that's occurred. And Saturday morning, Eric wakes up to my dad in his face on the, on the side of the bed, like, totally unexpected. And, again, that was Saturday morning. We had nothing but the clothes on our backs from when I picked him up from LAPD station, but we were getting them on a plane to Atlanta, and he was, on that plane with my dad. Unknown. Again, the police released him to me with a citation and a court date almost 2 months later. So at this point, I still don't know. Am I going to have to bring him back for a court date? Are they going to allow him to continue to, reside outside of LA County? That Friday, again, miraculous, grateful. So, not just the call to my dad and the send them, and my dad showing up that night just unbeknownst to me, because I thought I was supposed to be sending them. But once Eric awoke from his slumber, because he was exhausted, he had quite a long Thursday. Friday, he woke up, and, he talked to so many men that day and listened, and all from real life experiences, but a variety of experiences, a variety of ages, but all with the same message. And before each person, we would say, okay, Eric, so and so is on the phone. They want to talk to you. Are you willing to talk? He always said yes. And while they would be talking, you could see he was really listening and trying to process. Again, it hadn't clicked for him. He did not, understand. I'm still mom who's overreacting, but he was listening. And, there were just guys with all sorts of experience. And there was, my sister's really good friend from childhood, who, operates a nonprofit and had jumped in, assisting me, trying to get me linked to stuff for him. And, she had some real words for him. And there was just so many people that wanted to talk to him. And again, that no judgment, no shame, like, oh no, we're not going to let this happen to a young man. So that, just in regard to changing the culture, like, there has to be that sort of wide open armed embrace of our young people, of everybody, of our parents, of me, yeah. And because an understanding of our humanity. And honestly, that's what Eric had been craving and seeking and yearning for, was just that belonging, that acceptance and belonging. And while I'm confident that I had been providing that and his family had been providing that, he needed it outside, like the African proverb, a child who doesn't feel embraced by his village will burn it down. And his version was, really self harm. Not directly, but that's what, I would ask him. I'm like, with these decisions you're making, you want to, join a gang, or are you suicidal? Like, I just couldn't understand. But it was never from like, it was really from a genuine, I'm trying to understand, what's going on with you. I'm not shaming you, I'm not blaming you. I am thrown off, and you can see that, like, I'm confused and disappointed too, but like, I really want to know, and help you, lead you. And so the beauty of it all, and these are all like the divine signs. I mean, again, I am one who's helicopterish parent, and all of my child love him to death. Imagine I would raise him until he, reached adulthood. So I would never one who would imagine living away from my son, let alone across the country. And we're not even from Atlanta, and my dad, moved to Atlanta in retirement. And although I still don't understand. He's Atlanta Metro. He's got a different, city name where he's at. And the motto for the city, we're driving, when I get there, and we're driving, and they have these, um I don't know, areas of with the city name and motto throughout the city. And the motto is situated to succeed. Situated to succeed. Like, I had to send my son away, but look where he ended up at, situated to succeed. Like, that is amazing, right? He yearned from seventh grade to be in a marching band and be a snare drummer because of the movie Drumline. And when he wants something, he will uh, have the drive and the determination to teach himself. So he was on social media, on YouTube, finding Drum Corps International, found Atlanta Drum Academy, watching videos, teaching himself how to snare drum, got him drum pads. And he gets to Atlanta, and because it is the pandemic still, and because my stepmom works for the school district and is working from home due to the pandemic and has to get a new printer, the IT man from the school district who comes to help her out with her printer is like, "Oh, your grandson, oh, he drums. Oh, I got sons who drum. Let me link you with so and so." Because mind you, he got sent out there at the end of April. It was still the school year, and thank God for another miracle. He had, virtual learning from school out here, so he didn't have to lose that semester. He got to continue to do his virtual learning and complete that semester out in Atlanta. And so they got him, as soon as he finished his school semester, his LA school semester out in Atlanta. It was June, and the local marching bands are prepping for the NAACP Juneteenth parade out there. He gets slid right on in, to the band, not even enrolled in the school out there, but this is the school band. It is the homeschool he's going to get enrolled into. And he was so angry for me sending him back to Atlanta in April that he would not speak to me or take my calls until he got in that marching band practicing for that Juneteenth parade. That was the first call I had with him since he had been out there, and he talked to me for 45 minutes, and it was his dream actualized. He was in a marching band that he had been self studying for forever. And so his school marching band, another sign, um, is the SOS band, marching band, SOS. So SOS is the, forever symbol for crisis call, help. And he was sent to Atlanta because of the crisis. We needed help. He, has his dream actualized to be in a marching band, a snare drummer, and the marching band is known as the SOS, Sounds of the Seminoles. The high school's motto, it's on the, huge on the front doors. They wear it on their shirts, everything for school. We are the tribe. Again, he was yearning for belonging, a community, and he found his tribe. And within that tribe, now remember, in middle school, he's watching Atlanta Drum Academy, self-teaching snare drumming. It just so happens that my dad is in the city, and in the where the homeschool is for, like, the star snare drummer that he would be watching on Atlanta Drum Academy, and that snare drummer is in the same grade and the same age, and in the local school marching band, with Eric. They become close, still close, to this day. His father is the band dad and a loving man. Again, accepted, embraced Eric with open arms. And there's been so many just signs. It's so hard to map them all out. But again, in the valley, in the valley, here I have my son across the country, my son who I have adored all his life, and I've wanted to be a present and active parent, physically separated from me. And I'm just getting sign after sign after sign that he is exactly where he needs to be. And, you know, again, I just wanted to come on and share the parental perspective, about, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, parenting, right? Even if your child doesn't, make any risky decisions like this, you will not escape the difficulty, of parenting. What it says, like, once you become a parent, your heart is outside of your body, and you no one can control another human being, even one that they birthed. And so I just wanted to, share that, parenting from love, parenting, with grace, with faith, with patience, is just key, to, I don't even want to say making it through, because you're never done parenting. But it's the key to counting it all joy. Really, by birthing children, I mean, you're getting exponential experiences. I've already lived and had my experiences. I'm going to keep living and having more experiences. But look, I got a child that has his own perspectives and way of thinking, and he's going to have experience. I'm not musical. I don't know anything about music. And he has just opened my world to music. I mean, he's opened my world to just so many different, our personalities are opposite. And, with that said, I just hope that I can help encourage not just parents, but the whole village. So I know I just dropped a lot. Sorry, it's off the cuff, off the top of my head. Again, I haven't even been able to process the past 3 years. But again, I just want to leave you with the importance of grace for yourself and others, operating out of love, faith, patience, prayer. I guess I saved the best for last. I am so sorry. I did not even mention, the commitment to prayer, and praying in numbers. And my sister had, I mean, there was people we don't even know who was praying the whole time. Again, the no judgment, no shame, the seeing the humanity in the situation. So in order to change the course of things, that may not be well or healthy, change the culture. We've got to be there for each other. Like they say, push, pray until something happens. But not just until, through and ongoing, and always, pray, pray, pray. So thank you.